Welcome to Numbering the Days channel and a unique video on how we research using the calendar. We've shown you many ways that we research so far with word studies and Blue Letter Online. Today we're going to focus on how we use Excel sometimes to have to go through calendar dates and compare lunar calendars and the solar calendar, the creation calendar. So that's what we're going to be talking about today in the context of the 70-week ministry that we went over in week 12 and Daniel 9's prophecy and how it overlapped into the calendar. And that was an exciting video. If you haven't watched it, please do. Week 12. So things that we take into consideration when we look and do research on the calendars, comparing moon and creation, is the fact that there's a 10-day difference in a year. The solar year is 364 days and a lunar year is 354 days. So that's a 10 days difference. Another thing we take into consideration is it a year in which the creation calendar is being intercalated? Now that's a whole subject we're not going to go into right at the moment unto its own, but that's something you have to take into consideration when you're using Excel and going across years, like we are going to be today. And then you have to ask yourself, are you dealing with prophetic time versus physical in the flesh time? Because in prophetic time and in prophecy, some of the days of the year are not considered. They're not in the 360-day prophetic time frame. But like we're doing today, if Yeshua, Jesus, our Messiah, had a 70-week ministry, that's in the flesh walking around on the earth. So we have to consider that in today's video. So please stay tuned to the end. We're going to find out the answer of, is the 70-week ministry best observed on the moon and lunar-based Babylonian calendar or on Yah's creation calendar? Which one shows this ministry beyond a shadow of a doubt? So stay tuned. Let's get started. So as you can tell, if you're familiar with Excel from Microsoft, spreadsheets, or any other spreadsheet program, you're used to having columns and rows numbered like you see on the screen. And that's where I do a lot of calendar calculations and comparisons when I have to deal with a lot of numbers. And last week in week 12 study, we introduced from the Chronological Gospels by Rood, the book that I'll show here on the screen. Jesus, Yeshua, had a 70-week ministry, not 3.5 years. Now, 70 weeks times 7 days would be 490 days. So, in the video last week, we were comparing information on the calendar and the 490 days using Daniel 9, verses 24 through 27. And on pages 68 and 69 of Michael Rood's book of the Chronological Gospels, he says, based upon his lunar calendar calculations, that Yahushua's ministry started when he was baptized and lasted for 70 weeks, and that it ended on the day of Shabbat, or called Pentecost, in Acts chapter 2. That's what he believes. And we really do agree with a lot of his work. I mean, he did the book is excellent, even though I don't follow the lunar calendar, in harmonizing and connecting all the parts and pieces and events of the Gospels. I enjoy it more than the other books that I have that are chronological for the Gospels. So I'm going to pause right here and I'm going to read to you. I'll put it up on the screen from pages 68 and 69. Okay, so I'm going to start with Matthew's account in chapter 3. It says, Yeshua came from the Galilee to the Jordan to be mikvahed by Yochanan or John. But John forbid him, saying, I need to be mikvahed by you, and you come to me? Yeshua answered him, Let it be so for now, for it is fitting that we fulfill this righteous act. Then Yochanan submitted to him. When Yeshua was mikvahd, immediately upon coming up out of the water, the heavens were opened, and he saw the Spirit of Yahuwah descending like a dove, and alighting upon him. A voice from heaven spoke, "Behold, my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased." Now this is Mark's account, chapter 1, verse 9. It came to pass in those days that Yeshua came from Nazareth of the Galilee, and was mikvahd by Yochanan in the Jordan, or Yarden. Immediately upon coming up out of the water, he saw the heavens opened, and the Spirit like a dove descended upon him. And there came a voice from heaven, "My beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased." And finally, from Luke chapter 3, verse 21, "Now it came to pass that when all the people were being mikvahd, Yeshua was also mikvahd. And while he was praying, the heavens opened, and the Ruach HaKodesh descended upon him in the form of a dove, and a voice from heaven saying, 'My beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased.'" Now I'm going to read to you the two entries of commentary from Michael Rood, so you can get it'll show you what his book is like, the commentary. Okay, even though it does not specifically say this specifically, from Yochanan's statement to Yeshua, it can be reasonably surmised that it is at this time that Yeshua reveals himself to Yochanan as the one who Yochanan has been proclaiming as the one who is coming after him, who will mikvah with the Holy Spirit. Yochanan, filled with the Spirit from his mother's womb, understood the importance of being baptized with the Ruach HaKodesh, and that Yeshua was the one who would do it. But the time was not yet. 70 weeks, 490 days after this event, Yeshua baptizes his followers with the gift of the Holy Spirit on the Feast of Shavuot. The next entry is about the Bat Kol, which literally means the daughter of the voice. It is a term the Pharisees gave to a voice from heaven. There are 3 times in the 70-week ministry of Messiah where a Bat Kol endorses his ministry. These 3 incidents later include the Pharisee rabbis to make a ruling, quote, "We do not listen to a voice from heaven," end quote. This principle is still taught to the rabbis' students today, and is illustrated in the trial of Rabbi Eliezer. The Talmud records the final ruling of the Pharisee court, quote, "We pay no attention to a heavenly voice," end quote. It's from the Babylonian Talmud, Baba Metzia 59b. Okay, so back to the spreadsheet. So this is the day. We've got the day number in the left-hand column. The middle column's got our month. No, this is the day number, the month number, and the day number. So Michael Rood says that he was baptized on month 11 on day 20. And we've got to count 490 days. And he says that that's going to land, at the end of the 70 weeks, is on the Feast of Weeks, or Shavuot, month 3, day 15. So I'm going to start scrolling down. You see I have calculated, and I have put in here the 31, the months that have 31 days. I've included that. So this is a spreadsheet just to count out the 490 days. That's all this is doing. Okay, so we keep going down and down, and voila, there's the Feast of Weeks, Shabuah. But to get to 490 days, we have to go 10 more days. We're 10 days off. I do believe that Rood's harmonizing of passages is valid. So what happens if we take the Feast of Shavuot, month 3, verse 15 on the creation calendar, and we work backwards 490 days? So instead of starting where Michael Rood said to start, which is what we did on this sheet in the spreadsheet workbook, we're now going to start at Shabbaoth and go backwards. And let's see what happens then. Okay, so moving to the next sheet, we're going to work backwards. We're here at month 3, day 15. And let's see what happens when we do it this way. So we're going to go, I'm going to scroll up because we're started at the end and we're going backwards. Started at 490 and now we're going to go all the way through all this and see where we end when we get to day number 1 in the left-hand column. That's what we're looking for. So we see that we end up at month 11, day 10. That's when it would have started. This is the day Yeshua was baptized to begin his ministry. Month 11, day 10. What else happened on that day? Well, here's the answer. This is why, if you listened already to week number 13's teaching, you'll know the answer. Month 11, day 10, is the day that Noah releases the dove from the ark. This is week 45 is when this is occurring. So Genesis 8 verses 6 through 9, and you can read about it in the Dead Sea Scrolls 4Q 252. Noah is sending the dove out of the ark to find land. Now the Dead Sea Scrolls gives no account of a raven, just a dove. Genesis is saying that he released a raven as well. But for right now, let's focus on the dove. Noah releases the dove from the ark. And many years later, on the same month and day, it lands upon Yeshua, Jesus, the son of Elohim. John 1, 31 through 34, I want to read. And I knew him not, but that he should be made manifest to Israel. Therefore am I come baptizing with water. And John bare record, saying, I saw the Spirit descending from heaven like a dove, and it abode on him. Because if you watched last week, week 12, my husband Joshua talked about Daniel 9 a lot, and being made manifest to Israel. And I'm just tying this here, right here into this verse for you, if you watch that study. Continuing, and I knew him not, but that he had sent me to baptize with water. The same said unto me, upon whom thou shalt see the Spirit descending and remaining on him, the same is he which baptizes with the Ruach HaKodesh. And I saw and bear record that this is the son of Elohim. Okay, so he has a 70-week ministry that starts on day 1 of the calendar on 11/11 and ends 70 weeks later on 3/15. 490 days, and he's the high priest in the heavens, the Shamayim, who baptizes his followers with power on high, from on high, because he's on high now in Acts chapter 2. So on the solar calendar, on our creation calendar, these two events overlap because we work backwards into when was he baptized. So if we don't go with Michael Rood's date of 11/20, but we go with what we see when we work backwards on our calendar, we end up on the same day, the same dove. We end up with salvation from water. We end up with salvation. He's coming up out of the water from the baptism, and the dove lands. Okay. So this is just one event providing evidence of the amazing insights to glean from the creation calendar and why we are so blessed to have walked it out and why we're sharing it with you on YouTube. Okay, let's go look at month 11, day 10. This is the day of the dove and a voice from heaven. And we're going to chat about the dove and the voice from heaven in the Feast of Shabbaoth videos, parts 2 and after that. That's where we're going to talk more about this. Now we are numbering the days channel. We number words in addition to days, just so you know. And in the gematria of the first letter of the alphabet, the first letter of the language is Aleph. representing the creator and the author of all creation. And the word Aleph itself is 111. And if you look at this date, you've got 111 right there. Now, Aleph is the number 1, and it also represents the number 1000. So here's 1000. And if you add those two together, you get the calendar date. Of all the dates on the 364-day calendar that these two events fall on, they happen to fall on the very one that links back to the first letter of the alphabet, the Aleph and the Tav. I am the Alpha and the Omega. This is the Alpha, the creator author of everything. And it's the day on the calendar these two events occur. Now let's take 11/11. Okay, because that's the day that his ministry starts. Back up here. Who starts his ministry on day 1? There's day 1. Okay. And this number 11/11, if you I think I've heard people talk about in the New Age community, they talk about seeing the number 11/11, and there's all kinds of videos on YouTube about the number 11/11 and what does it mean. Everybody wants to know what it means. And there's all kinds of theories about what it means. Well, to me, when I saw this, I thought, might this be the sign that he's working in your life? He's ministering in your life. 11/11. I know that's kind of hokey, but that's I think about stuff like that, and it makes me smile, and it might make some of you smile as well. So I hope you've enjoyed this little research video and showing you how we look at stuff in the calendar. Be sure to see our videos on the Feast of Weeks and Shabbaoth. If you haven't seen it, please do watch it. You'll really enjoy it. And our video week 13 this week and last week, all about Daniel's prophecy and the 70-week stuff. And the links to these videos are at the end of this one and in the description. Please like and subscribe this video and comment on it, because it helps edify us in doing this work, and it helps more people to see this video. Shalom.